Reptiles are slithering their way into the category of household pets. Over the years, I have had 5 reptiles. Currently, I have one bearded dragon named Lander. He's in the middle here and he's 5 years old. To the right of him, I have Lonnie, who I adopted. She's a leopard gecko and I've had her for 4 years. And all the way to the left is my boyfriend's bearded dragon, and his name is Taser, and he's probably about 2 years old now. It's always exciting to get new pets, but most people go straight to dogs or cats. There are lots of more options out there, such as reptiles, and because reptiles are a viable option as pets, I'm going to inform you on how to go about getting one of them for a pet. And the main parts of that are to research, gather your supplies, set up your tank, and then the final step is to actually purchase your reptile and bring him home. So the first step is to research the basics. You have to identify which reptile is actually right for you. So Wide Open Pets has an article named 7 Best Pet Reptiles, and it identifies water dragons, a Russian tortoise, crested gecko, ball python, corn snake, leopard gecko, and finally the bearded dragon as the top popular house pets. And that's kind of a good place to start with just going over the basics of which one seems like it would be right for you. You have to look at the physical details, that's one of the main things, just because over the years they will get fairly big. So this was Lander in 2014 when I first bought him. This is him a year later, and this is him last year fully grown. He's about 1.7 feet now. And to kind of give you a size reference, that's the length of my arm from my middle finger to the top of my arm. So you also have to make sure that you can financially support them. They will cost more than just a dog or a cat because in addition to buying food, you also have to buy them the heating lamps, the UV lamps, and all of that kind of stuff. And because you have to buy them live food, it is more expensive. You also have to think of long haul because bearded dragons live 10 to 15 years and leopard geckos live 15 to 20. So although I've had my reptiles for about 5 years, they're really only halfway through their lifespan. So you have to make sure that you'll be able to keep them for that full life. And sometimes some reptiles will live even longer than that. Tortoises sometimes can live between 50 and 70 years. Next, you have to look at housing. You need to look at the tank size, the lighting, the heating, recommended decorations, and substrate. The easiest way to tell if your heating is kind of spot on is this over here is what we call basking. It's when their eyes are shut, their mouth is open, and their tongue is out. So reptiles typically do that when they like their temperature. By keeping their mouth open, it regulates it so they don't get any hotter or any colder. So that's a good way to tell besides just looking at the thermometer. Next, you need to look at care. So you need to know what temperatures, what kind of live food or prepackaged food, water and misting, and carpet or substrate. I cannot stress this enough that you need to be able to feed them live insects. Because I actually got Lonnie over here off of Craigslist. Because this woman had bought it for her sons and they were too scared to feed her the live food, such as crickets and worms. And she was getting so skinny that she was basically dying, so she sold her to me, and I got her in the back of a Popeyes parking lot for very low price. And now she is up to a very good size for her age right now. But you just need to make sure that you'll be able to handle that. It sounds weird, but over time you almost get used to it. And then the next thing you need to do is gather your supplies. So you need to look at the tank, the heating bulbs and UVB bulb, the dome, your food and water along with a bowl for that, substrate, a thermometer, organic cleaning supplies, decorations, and miscellaneous items. This is what a basic tank setup should look like. You have your basking spot over here, which is the highest point of the tank closest to the heat source, which is right there. You have your cool side, and then you have level decoration so he can adjust to his temperature as he sees it fit. And you also need to have your thermometers. So when you actually go to buy your reptile, Pet Finder's article, Reptiles as Pets, actually recommends that you buy them directly from private breeders. It can be more costly, but wholesalers and pet stores have less incentive to provide proper care to the reptiles that you're purchasing. The other thing that you need to look into, and that the Association of Reptilian and Amphibian Veterinarians article titled Position Statement on the Ownership of Amphibians and Reptiles really stresses the importance of knowing the legality aspect of your reptiles and how important knowing your state regulations are. Because breeders typically are going to be out of state, so you just have to make sure whatever reptile you're buying, you're legally allowed to have, and that there won't be restrictions on them. There's not always regulations, but sometimes there are. But it's mostly with like venomous snakes and more exotic reptiles. So reptiles are a viable option when you would like a pet. However, because they are a more exotic pet, a little bit more effort needs to be made into purchasing one. The first step is to actually just research reptiles and figure out what's the right fit for you. The second step is to gather the supplies that you're going to need. And then after that, you just need to set up your tank and then actually go and get your reptile and bring him home. And after that, you're good to go. And it's just good luck and happy lizarding.